bites the bone. So you remember when back in the day, I'm kind of aging myself. We used to have to like print out directions, where we're going. I mean, we had one when we went to Florida, child. That was like 15 pages. It feels like. It was shot in the MapQuest, by the way. But it's a reason why I'm saying this. And over time, we had the paper printout MapQuest, and we had Tom, and now we have whatever you are viewing me on, whether it's your phone or anything like that. But the GPS has matriculated, has levels to it. And I want you to start thinking of your money as a GPS. And I want you to think of it, your money as a GPS is the same way that GPS has matriculated and grown over time. Is that what I want you to do with your financial journey is to think of it with that same mindset. I love to say audit your wallet because this time of year everybody's like, oh, I had these plans in January and by March, because we're in March while I'm filming this, we're still not there. I'm still far behind the eight ball. And what I want you to consider is that the same way that the GPS took time to define and grow into what we know, it's the same way I want you to think about when it comes to not only your money but your life. Because you have to give yourself time and grace to grow and to know where you're going. And a lot of people say, oh, I want to go here and this are my goals, and I got my vision board and stuff. But for you to fully know where you want to go, you have to actually, in the GPS, you have to pinpoint and put in your location to determine where you're going, the best route to go where you're going. Get where I'm going? No pun. For you to actually have those goals, you have to actually know where you are. You have to audit your wallet. So when it comes to understanding your money goals, whether it's to start investing more, to have 100,000 saved, to put my children through college, to be able to have a down payment for a house or a car, you have to understand where you are financially to understand how to funnel your funds better to actually hit those goals. So you have to actually pinpoint and put in where you are when it comes to your finances. Go ahead and peel that scab off and define where you are and do an analyzation of that so you can align and define and go that way. So when I say GPS, I call it, I like to give acronyms to shit. So when I say goals in the GPS stands for, when it comes to money, your goals. The P can be used interchangeably. It could be preparation or positioning, and S is for scaling. I know people are like, oh my God, I'm so sick of hearing scaling. Well, listen here. We have to, for us to actually curate our wealth journey and understand where we're going with our money, we're going to have to actually scale. You have to start somewhere and you have to scale into a goal, into where you want to go. So scaling is not such a bad word. Granted, we're hearing this in earnings reports and articles and think pieces, but you have to determine scaling is that you want better for your money, you want better for your livelihood, you want better for thing here. So while I say that your money GPS is your goals, your preparation or positioning, and your scaling, you have to really get definitive around what does that look like and how you can actually build that. Don't be afraid of the word scale. Scale is just saying, okay, I want to upgrade my life. I have a car, one car, I paid it off, and I saved some enough money, and I want to actually upgrade into something else because I've already understand what car I want, what car I don't want, what do I need. I've already determined what my car payment would be. And heck, I already have a healthy down payment, or I could pay a hunk to it, and I already know what methodologies I want to use a credit union versus using an actual financial, a big financial institution. So don't see scale as bad or hell. See it as helping you determine what your objectives are. We're going to talk about that in point two, determining what your objectives are and how to actually align your GPS to define where you want to go. I want you to think of it, your money as a GPS is the same way that GPS has matriculated and grown over time. Is that what I want you to do with your financial journey is to think of it with that same mindset. I love to say audit your wallet because this time of year everybody's like, oh, I had these plans in January and by March, because we're in March while I'm filming this, we're still not there. I'm still far behind the eight ball. And what I want you to consider is that the same way that the GPS took time to define and grow into what we know, it's the same way I want you to think about when it comes to not only your money but your life. Because you have to give yourself time and grace to grow and to know where you're going. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to go here and this are my goals, and I got my vision board and stuff." But for you to fully know where you want to go, you have to actually, in the GPS, you have to pinpoint and put in your location to determine where you're going, the best route to go where you're going. Get where I'm going? No pun. For you to actually have those goals, you have to actually know where you are. You have to audit your wallet. So when it comes to understanding your money goals, whether it's to start investing more, to have 100,000 saved, to put my children through college, to be able to have a down payment for a house or a car, you have to understand where you are financially to understand how to funnel your funds better to actually hit those goals. So you have to actually pinpoint and put in where you are when it comes to your finances. Go ahead and peel that scab off and define where you are and do an analyzation of that so you can align and define and go that way. And I say that a lot is that audit your wallet, and I've also started saying audit your life wallet, because for you to even say I want to lose or release 50 pounds. All right, so boom. So how many times am I going to go to the gym? How do I need to start eating? How do I need to start doing this? How you need to matriculate the why, but the thing that what comes with it, and honey, I'm in that boat when it comes to when to release the weight, is that you have to define. All right, so what's my step? What level? Where am I at? Level one. So how am I going to get to level whatever? It's growth. The same way that the GPS took growth to get to where we are, even though sis giving us annoyances. But the same way that you have to, that it has done that over time and given itself grace and hookups and glitches. And that's the same way we have to do when it comes to money. We're not gonna always get it right the first time. And it's something that you're gonna have to learn to do is give yourself grace. And when it comes to knowing where you're gonna go, you have to know where you are currently, knowing your money habits, knowing your mannerisms. A lot of people love to say mindset. I call that, but you have to understand too, what habits do you have? What mannerisms? How do you pay bills? Do you feel any kind of way? Do I do stuff automated? Is bill pay gives me anxiety, or how it be? Those knowing where you how you feel about your money and knowing where you are about your money is going to help you unlock into not only that vision board you desire, but actually being able to actually touch it and see it happen. And I wanted to go through some ways that you actually can start to audit your wallet. I want you to start pulling your receipts. I know. I know. I said it was gonna be a scam, didn't I? Pulling your receipts. I talked about it recently that your bank statements, the actual receipts that pile up in your purse or wallet or whatever device you want to call it. Granted, it's crazy. You can pull out your the receipts out your purse, and it actually can create anyway, like a checkbook or I'm really aging myself, but pulling your statement is like a ledger. It's going to give you insight into where you spend, how you spend, and how often you spend. And for you to even to create a budget that's going to work this year, because if you're going on the budget that you had last year, you're doing yourself a disservice because inflation is inflating, y'all. But when it comes to you pulling your receipts, no pun, doing your own ledger, you're going to have to know how, when, and where you have spent so you can start curating your own personal banking system. We're not the big banks. I don't want to call it a name. I don't want to get popped on the wrist. You are the CFO of your funds, the chief funds operator for your funds. And you have to go ahead and look at to see, where am I doing? What am I doing good? What am I not doing so good? And how can I fix it? But until you actually know where you are, you can't. You have to, when you pull those receipts and understand your ledger, you're actually giving yourself um room to know how to budget. I say that in a recent TikTok is that those ratios that they give you, sometimes they're not rational for some people, their finances, they're where they are in their journey. Ratios can give you restrictions, because technically that's what I see expense plan or a budget being, but it's all about how are you allowing yourself to know where you are. What methods work or don't work. For me, when I started off with my finances during a recession, no money, I had to I looked at what wasn't working. I kept having a budget and I still was in the red because I didn't give myself time to understand and define where I'm spending, how I'm spending, how am I feeling, how often does my bills come out, what check does it align to. I had to actually wreck myself to check myself when it came to my finances. And if you're not understanding what methods and what things work for you, you're pretty much going to continue to shoot in the dark when it comes to your money. And you're, because we will tell you why. Because granted, now we're seeing that personal finance is being taught in school. I love it. But a safe thing for me to say right now is the same way that they're aligning personal finance to be taught in school. I really wish that they would give parents the same course, or a course that's geared towards them. That will help, you know, close the wealth gap for some, and align people to get more personal with their finances and get more in line. That's a little segue that I wish that the schools or the districts that are offering personal finance courses to kids will also do the same for adults. And if so, call me. But the thing is that we're in the middle of a recession. So the same budget that you had 2 years ago is not going to be the same budget that you have now. And heck, you might even got a pay raise and don't understand how your money is flowing. You're supposed to give every dollar a job, yes, but you're supposed to actually be able to define the job description. So in point two, you probably heard financial objectives being used interchangeably before. And financial objectives is just what money goals do you have? Where do you define like functionality and just actually the funds itself? And I love to call them stack, meaning how much, money. You're gonna hear me say stack interchangeably with money, so just get this gonna be all right. Simmer down now. But stock, I love to get that reference when I say stock. It's more so to investing in general. It's not necessarily to stocks. It could be in real estate. It could be in bonds or anything, crypto or whatever. So that's what I mean. So when it comes to this point, you are determining what your stock and stack goals are key. With all that we're seeing in a recession, no matter it's the whole mass recession, which we're probably going to be hearing much later on, is how it goes. But it's a lot of people right now going through their own personal recessions. And I've taught about building a contingency plan on my social media handles, but I want people to be more critical than ever on what's going on, regardless if you happen to get laid off or you don't. That people are still feeling the crunch because people are opening up credit cards. The average APR on credit cards is 19%, and people are utilizing credit cards to buffer how much their life costs are going up comparison to the income stream coming in. But you have to be very critical of your goals even more. So heck, one thing that I know is that people like to make their goals January, February. That's your trial months. But you have time that if you start going towards a goal and you say, I want to redefine it, you can. Those goals are your own in there. You have to be flexible in your intent, your in implementation, but clear on your intention. Your intention could be, I want to have $25,000 saved, and then you are like, you know what? I might want to save it in this kind of bucket. I might want to save it in this other kind of bucket. You can be flexible, but your intentions are set when it comes to your goals. But the part of determining where your contingency plan looks like and what you might want to start building for and your objectives, it's a whole plethora of what goes in there. Because the key with auditing your wallet is that you have to determine how I want my money to serve and stack for me. Emergency fund, determine how much you need to save is the baseline. How often is it going to be um, automated, which I'm recommending that you do. And then don't feel bad for actually having to spend that emergency fund. Don't feel bad for it. But the thing with your financial objectives is that they're going to be short, mid grade, and long term goals. Your short term goal is probably 1 to 3 years. For 5 to 7 years ish is your mid grade, and then everything else is long term goals, which actually you can pocket the long term goals to be looking a little bit different. But the thing around it is that when you determine what your goals is, and I said this to my client some time ago, is that when you determine your goals, you'll be able to work your way backwards into creating it. So I say I want to have a certain amount in my retirement fund. That's long-term goals. So a mid-grade goals, where and do I want to be? Where is the baseline? What is the milestone? how am I starting to maximizing not only my 401k at my employer? Do I have any old 401ks? Do I need to start picking these type of funds and things of that nature? And then putting it back to your short term goals. How am I even looking at my current 401k? Am I calling up the servicer to see how's my target fund doing? Do I have my asset allocation stacked how I need to so I can actually hit those goals? So when you work your way backwards, you're reverse engineering it. You also determine what products will actually fit those different stair steps up to your financial objectives. So say for instance when it comes to saying the stock market, also it's the same as, but determining what portfolios are going to shift around and step up into your goals. So I have multiple brokerage accounts, and people thought I was full until we start seeing what was going on. What's that, March 2020, when everything shut down. But the reason why I had multiple ones is because I determined within my raw 401k, I want to one of them that I want to only hold um index funds. I don't just stack or automate cash into that. I also distribute those funds into these particular index funds. And then maybe for my regular brokerage accounts, that I only just pick ETFs or certain funds to handle my objectives. So the same way that you may have whenever you sign up for a brokerage app, they ask you about your financial objectives. I have a blog article that talks about determining your financial objectives and how to actually steer them a little bit clearer so you can make sure on the day to day, am I saving enough for this fund? Do I need to start? A lot of people will tell me, oh, I don't have enough money to start investing. $5 can build up to 50, can build up to 500, can build up to 5,000. You have to stair step your way into your stacks being able to align and accumulate the way you want to. But it all boils down to understanding your financial objectives. Going on a little bit more onto what I was talking about in point two. Say for instance, you want to build growth, but you kind of shook with what's going on in the stock market. I get it. Because the volatility, meaning how up and down things can be, can make people shocked. I talked about this recently and how people are starting to stop investing. I know Kramer told people at one time to stop investing, yeah, due to how volatile it is. But the thing when it comes to understanding volatility is that you have to determine your risk tolerance. If you know that you gonna rock with volatility so much, you might want to actually put your funds into either ETFs or index funds that will help you still see growth and will not pull your whole portfolio value down in case things go a little shaky and toxic. But a lot of people are wondering what should they do if they don't invest in the stock market. I hate to say it, save. But I don't hate to say it, but you know what I mean. Save. I always would recommend people to not only just save in a regular savings. Regular savings are kind of for something happened to my car. I need my money right then versus having to wait a couple of business days for it to move from a high yield savings account, over to my bank account. But other places that you can start utilizing is CDs, certificate of deposits. Granted, they have a maturity date, and meaning it's the interest aligned, so you have to keep your money there for a certain amount of time. I do those for long term goals, such as you still want to have some money on the other side of this recession whenever it's going to end, or you want to start saving for a down payment on a house or something of the sort. The reason why I'm telling you to start putting money into your savings is right now we're seeing high APYs, or APYs is a little bit different over APYs, or annual percentage yields, are different than APRs, which you will see with credit cards. But with the Federal Reserve cranking up interest rates, the APYs on high yield savings accounts on CDs are going to yield you just as much of a stronger return, just as strong a return as you're going to see in the stock market. So another thing that I didn't even write down when it comes to understanding your financial objectives is understanding your risk tolerance. Risk tolerance is used a lot when it comes to investing, but I want you to start utilizing that when it comes to determining within your contingency plan what I talked about previously is how if something was to happen drastically in your life, how would you react to it? So back in the day, my risk tolerances when I lost my job would have been like, oh my god, and I probably should have budgeted a lot better to understand how to catch up my bills at that time, how to have understand what my um, retirement plan was doing, or even how to have other income streams. When my former employer actually dissolved the company, my risk tolerance was then I've already learned from this situation, so I'm able to understand how my income will change, understand the the lack of severance package that I had, the time in which it will take for unemployment to be approved, how much have I paid up on certain bills, and how am I going to actually move throughout this, as far as even going to how am I going to reach out to my network at that time. I was child, it was pretty ghetto, but how am I going to actually change your risk tolerance for or your appetite for certain things changes over time. The way that you will handle the stock market when you start investing is not going to be the same way whenever you have been investing for 10 to 15 years. That is something I want people to keep in mind when it comes to talking about the risk tolerance, is because it can shift and shape. And if you know that right now that you are so against the stock market, but you still want to see accumulate wealth and gains, you might want to look into a CD, a certificate of deposit, like I talked about, for long term savings, or you actually want to utilize a high yield savings, but for still seeing a return because you're putting your money there. Heck, even a mutual fund. I know it's going to you're going to have to you can contribute, but it's going to have to stay there. It's going to incur interest and grow over time. When it hits the maturity, you're going to get this back. That's the thing that I will also recommend to people is that you look into other options of okay, this is my financial objective. I want to save or see gains around this percentage. Then you're going to work your way back to a product that will align to that. In this instance, it will be either a CD, a mutual fund, I bonds, or what you have been hearing about, and determine these products work. Then you'll work another layer down, determine how much am I going to be able to contribute, automate every so often. So when it comes to your financial objectives, that's a way to do it. You understand what you're trying to do. You're firm on your intention, but you're flexible on your methods. So I want to still see this amount of gains over time. Okay, I don't want to do the stock market too much. I'm going to put a percentage of what I have in my budget towards probably an ETF or index fund and keep it there. But I'm also going to utilize either a CD, a mutual fund, or even an I bond or any sort of bond and capsize that I'm going to leave this money right here for this amount of time. But within me doing that baseline of it all is that's my objective is to save outside or to see gains outside of the stock market. I'm going to automate that. I'm going to have $50, $100 going into splitting it between ETF or index fund, and then putting enough money into the accounts that I talked about. So it's to determine what your risk tolerance is, actually your reward, and how you're going to actually balance the objective to actually come to pass, and then how you're going to react just in case your financial objectives are not hitting well. You can shift and shape it as you go along. It is not firm. Remember, I said it. You have to be flexible in your actions to see your intentions come to be. So, for you to see growth, I have plenty of talks around what platforms that I will utilize. The big ones are the Charles Schwab, the Fidelities, the E Trade, for traditional accounts, or not traditional, mostly apps. You have Public, you have Public Invest, which I am on. You have um, Robinhood, Stash, and things of that nature. So it's all about understanding your financial objectives, understanding what within those buckets, your short, medium, and long grade, long term goals, and then understanding your risk tolerance to determine how am I actually going to restructure my finances to either prepare for my own personal session, prepare for when everything is up and stuck, and also how am I going to do it on the day to day. How am I handling my money day in and day out? Am I utilizing cash? Am I utilizing my budget? It all pertains to you personal finance, yes, it's personal, but it's also personalized into your systems that you build over time. So auditing your wallet will look a lot different from the person to person, but also season to season of your life. So you remember when I was talking about how uh the way I react to what was going on in my life when I lost my job initially back in the last recession, comparison to now, it's like night and day. But the thing of the matter is when you're starting to notice that your life is starting to shift in a good or new direction or a transitional direction, is that you determine, okay, what the way that I budget, the way that I did things then is not going to be how it's going to be impactful now. So you've been hearing about lifestyle creep, meaning when people start making more money, they defend it. They need to spend more money versus understanding of what does your means look like for you in one season to the next. Maybe you are able to spend more money in your mortgage or your house, but you also know that you have these financial objectives or stock or stack objectives that I talked about that you want to align to more. So it's not allowing lifestyle creep or social media creep, because social media will make you think that you're not doing things quick enough or well enough. And it's because you're seeing people on the stroll. Oh, they got 100,000 saved. Oh, they got an 850 credit score or whatever, and you're feeling that you're not doing right. The fact that you're even still considering working on yourself when it comes to your financial habits or is this your life habits is worth applauding. How you audit your wallet will look different, but don't get discouraged if you're not where you want to be in 6 months. Take a step back to determine where I am with my financial objectives. How are those products that I determined back in January or March working for towards my objectives for mid grade or long term, even short term? The thing of the matter is that you're riding the ship, and with um being on a cruise ship or a big ship, and finances is a big ship, is that you have to determine when you're trying to get back on track, it's going to take a lot of arm muscle and a lot of traction to get back on track, and that you're not going to get it back to, to on track quickly. So when I say audit your wallet, it's about looking every so often, having those money meetings to determine, in my own budget, am I saving enough? Am I pay is are my bills caught up? Am I receiving the right APR on my credit cards, or my or can I refinance anything? Can I refinance my house? Can I refinance my car? Do I have anything like that? Also, am my credit score? Where am I at with my credit score? What does that look like? What is the goal that I have for my credit score look like? And if I'm saving enough, where am I saving? How much am I saving? Am I um, saving enough in this account? Is things automated? What do I feel comfortable with automating? Questions like that are things that you're going to have in your money meetings. And I know that's been a popular term over the course of the pandemic. Is money meetings pretty much just meeting with your money, not only when you're checking out at Target or whatever, or when a check comes in, actually being attuned to what your money is doing. You can't give, like I said, you can't give your money a job if you don't understand the job description. You have to determine what is my money doing, how's my money moving, and how can I make it move better. And like I was saying, is that it is something that's going to have to be done over time. Auditing your wallet is not something that you just do in January or February or March. It's something that you do consistently, day in and day out. You have to determine what your risk tolerance will look like and determine what your check-in method is going to be. Whether it's a money meeting, I have articles talking about money meetings, but it's being clear, concise, and configure how you're going to handle your currency. Simple as that. And like I said, don't feel bad if you're not ahead where you want to be. Feel good. The your money status did not come overnight. Rather, if you're not doing as well as you want, or you're doing better than you was last year, it did not come overnight. So for you to get to that next level, it's going to take time. But what you do day to day will play out how it goes monthly, will play out how it goes quarterly, and how your finances and your life stacks look at the end of the year going into next year. So it's that you determine your current GPS to get to the destination that you want. But also keep in mind the route in which you're going is going to change. It's going to change. You may come up with traffic, meaning on your route is that you need to look at your budget. Maybe you spend too much money in here, or maybe you need to make some more money and you're going to look for a better job. So then you're going to determine, all right, now that I got a better job, is how's my budget looking now? Am I more aligned, or do I need to actually make some changes to my interest rate, or do I need to make some changes to um, memberships or anything? Am I even calling my insurance company to see if can I get a lower rate? So that's what I mean by having a GPS, or goals, positioning, preparation, or scaling when it comes to your finances. Seeing, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to go, and understanding that your route may change, and it's okay. But when you change with your route, you can, depending on what system you're using for your GPS, to say, all right, this route looks a little bit better for me. I'm going to go here. That route, I don't like driving that way. So it's, but you can also change it along the way. So auditing your wallet is pretty much aligning your financial or money GPS to go where you want, be able to know where you are to go to where you want to be, and being okay with that. And it's something that you check in with yourself over time. And and whenever you get into something and the road is a little bit bumpy, being okay with saying, all right, my risk tolerance on my finances is saying that route is not the way I need to go. I might need to go a different way. So being flexible in your methods, but clear on your intentions, is one of the things that's going to be needed to understand your trek with money, knowing your financial or money GPS, your risk tolerance, your financial objectives, and what you're doing day to day. It's going to help determine the route that you take to get and where you want to be with your money. That's it.